One thing that we're known for at our Harley Street Clinic is our specialised service to manage complications of eyelid surgery. And probably one of the most challenging complications to deal with is that of fat transfer, which has gone wrong. And this is something that we see a lot of. The tissues around the eyes are very thin and delicate and unforgiving, and any irregularity of fat transfer can be extremely visible and extremely disfiguring. Diane is one such patient who had fat transfer around the eye. The fat transfer was placed slightly too superficially, and the absorption was slightly irregular, which left her with quite significant contour abnormalities, with big lumps and hollows all around the eyes. We managed this surgically by removing some of the excess fat and then doing some of our own fat transfer in a different plane, somewhat deeper, releasing all the scar tissue internally, and then topping up some of the other areas with filler to give a really fantastic result. In order to maximize safety with these complex revision procedures, we typically stage them over 2 to 3 different interventions. These pre-operative images and videos demonstrate the extent of the contour abnormalities. We can see quite a significant cauliflower type contour abnormality with surrounding irregularities and hollows, which Diane has found to be quite disfiguring. This video demonstrates the surgical marking for the procedure, very carefully delineating the extent of the cauliflowered type lesion and the surrounding areas of indentation. The superficial fat lesions are then identified internally. This is done by very carefully passing needles through the boundary of the tissue so that the shape and outline of the fat lump can be visualized internally. This is then trimmed down. And as we can see here in the final video of the surgery, fantastic contour to the lower eyelid and cheek, which has clearly resolved all of the contour problems.
I originally had an infection in my face, in the bone. And after consulting with a surgeon, I was advised that quite a large piece of bone had to be removed from my cheek here. This happened, and there was a huge indentation in my face. And I was told not to worry at all. Some filler and fat, my own fat, could be put in the face and I would look normal again. This second procedure happened, and initially, yes, I was thrilled. I looked virtually normal as before. But then under my eye started to go very, very lumpy. And when I spoke with the surgeon, I was advised to keep massaging, which I did. But the lump and the lumpiness just got bigger, and it covered a huge portion of my face. Further consultation with the surgeon, I was advised less is more. And I agreed, yes, I would like less lumpiness in my face. And I was advised, no, nothing else could be done. Thank you, bye-bye. I searched for other eye specialist surgeons. I visited many, and they all said, ooh, no, sorry, we can't do anything. This is too complicated. I went home, I was extremely distressed about the appearance. I started to search myself. I used the internet, of course, as most people do. Came across a list of surgeons, further list. I visited more, and they all said no, they couldn't touch or deal with it. More searching on the internet, I came across Daniel Ezra. I called the number And I was told the waiting list to see Daniel is never ending. I just thought, you know, and I think I started crying on the phone. And she must have heard me. She said, oh, look, just send some photographs. Can you do that? I said, I can do that right now. Yeah, I sent the photographs. I received a phone call from Daniel's secretary, who saw the condition of my face and how dreadful it looked, and it really did look dreadful. And she said, Diane, you are so lucky. We have had a cancellation for appointment. Come and see Daniel.
This is the guy for me, I trust him.
I think it was his knowledge, because when I came in to see Daniel, we sat down, desk, myself, Daniel here, and he got up and he came round and he's pushing and poking and pulling and lifting, and he was just in the initial stage just saying, And I thought, oh God, here we go. And he said to me, now Diane, he said, we're going to have to take quite a few scans, ultrasounds and whatever these sort of procedures are. And he sent me off to have these carried out, which I did. And I came back and he said to me, now look, Diane, he said, this is a very complicated procedure, very complicated indeed. He said, there may be things that go wrong. I asked, what do you mean? And he said, well, look, everything has adhered to nerves and vessels. He said, and while I'm trying to remove this, he said, I don't believe it probable, but there is always a possibility. I cannot guarantee that something won't be nicked. He said, and if that happens, this will affect your eye. I said, how so? And he said, well, he said, you may lose a little control of the lid. You may not be able to blink, or he went through a whole list of things. And I said, oh, he said, look, he said, I have never had this complication happen. He said, but I must warn you, I have to, just in case. There are no guarantees in life. And I looked at this man and I believed every word he was saying, and I trusted him. And I said, let's go for it, Daniel. And after I visited, Daniel did a huge amount of tests and scans and x-rays and such like. And he warned me, he said, look, Diane, this is a very complicated surgical procedure. He said, but I do believe we can help. And I said, let's go for it, Daniel. And we did, and the outcome was phenomenal. It really, really was. I was so, so happy. And there's a little treatment that needs to continue as an ongoing practice, but I would trust not one other person in the world to touch my face other than Daniel Ezra. So there you go. Yeah.